When you start teaching languages online, you usually go on a platform like italki or Verbling that offers you an opportunity to get some experience, connect with people online. Many students are there looking for the teacher and learn how to explain the concepts that you have explained in a classroom in a different way. And it's a great chance for you to try out all of your strategies in a different format and to meet students all over the world and get this wide perspective. And also, the platform helps you out, at least in the beginning, to find new students. But over time, what happens is you find a platform restricting and you feel like you can't fully connect with people or you cannot build your own business because you begin to depend on the platform more and more. Another thing that is really problematic is that platform does not give you an option of teaching languages online any other way but the one-to-one classes. And so when teachers leave the platform and they try to just go out on their own, they struggle with how do they get students? How do they get the students onto their website? And how do they get the students to pay them maybe even more than they would pay on a platform? In today's video, we're going to talk about different ways of teaching languages online outside of one-to-one classes. So let's dive in. If you're new here, my name is Elena Motonono. I'm a business coach for online language teachers and coaches who are transitioning from one-to-one classes to more sustainable formats. And on this channel, you will learn how to do that in a variety of ways. So before you move away from one-to-one classes, I want to offer to you that teaching one-to-one classes is not inherently wrong. It does not mean that when you teach one-to-one classes that you are somehow behind or you are not a really good teacher or coach. The reason I'm talking about moving away from one-to-one classes is to offer online language teachers and coaches the flexibility that they need for whatever happens in their lives, because presumably we all want our business to work for us, not us working for the business, right? So if something were to happen, for example, in my business, when I taught from morning till night one-to-one classes, I would have to cancel everything and I would have to reschedule and lose money. And because I was working at capacity and couldn't even go beyond what I was making, but I was afraid to let certain people go, I found myself in a predicament of overworking and burning out consistently. And so the reason I talk about moving away from one-to-one classes is not because one-to-one classes are awful and you should never do them. Now, if you choose not to ever go back to one-to-one classes, it's fine. But I find that teachers are most effective when their load is not overwhelming and when they're able to have enough time to build that internal resource in them so they can be most effective with their clients and with the audience that they're interacting with, whether through social media or through their newsletter or maybe their content on their blog or in their podcast. When I was teaching one-to-one classes, it seemed to me that the only way out of one-to-one classes was creating and selling online courses. And at the time, it was very difficult for me, first of all, to grasp how much better online courses would be, particularly when it comes to teaching a language where you need immediate feedback, where you need correction, where you need guidance, how much courses would really help my students. And I was struggling with that. Of course, when you struggle with that, doesn't matter what you create, you will not be able to sell it, because if you are not sure, if you still believe that one-to-one classes are the best and nothing can really be as great as one-to-one classes, then it's hard to even shift gears and put yourself into a mind space of the people that are trying to learn languages in a variety of ways, and to say to yourself, well, what if one-to-one classes are not the only effective way? What if there are other ways to do that? Another reason why we feel like online courses are the only way for ourselves to make our businesses more sustainable is because we see this being advertised everywhere. People say, just create your course and sell it, and then you're going to make all this money. And if your audience is only one-to-one students, like I used to have only one-to-one students in my audience, then it's very unlikely that you're going to sell an online course for them. After all, if people are used to doing one-to-one classes with them, why would they pay the same amount or more for something that's not one-to-one classes? So while online courses are great and they have their place, they do not immediately work for people that are only used to the one-to-one format. So let's look at how else you can teach your students. A program is a format that does not rely on one-to-one classes and does not take one-to-one classes as the foundation of the offer. A program is something you create for your students that allows them not only to take information, but also practice it. In fact, at the core of any program is the concept of flipped classroom, where the teacher is a guide and you don't show up as often and for long periods of time like in one-to-one classes, but you show up in shorter increments and you give very specific assignments to your students. And then what they do is take those assignments, which are called prompts, and work on them. You can have speaking prompts, you can have writing prompts, you can have speaking prompts on a specific subject. If you're preparing your students for tests, that will be a series of prompts that have to do with the test. If it's something that has to do with a specific tense form, you will choose prompts that will allow your student to talk on a specific subject using a tense form or a certain expression that will help them work on a skill. Now, a big difference between one-to-one classes and a program is that, number one, it is structured and focused. So with one-to-one classes, people usually come to you and they say, I just want to maybe speak better, or maybe I want to write, or I want to do better in my presentations. And so you bring the person on and you give them a whole gamut of things that they need, grammar, vocabulary, and you work on this and that. Maybe you work with a textbook, which might be helpful, but take a lot longer for a person to get to the goal that they want to get to. Often when people come to you at a pre-intermediate or maybe intermediate level, they might need a very specific thing, but they are not always able to voice it. Like, for instance, the people that came to me generally would tell me the same issue. I can read a text, I can work and finish all my grammar tests, but I don't know how to speak. Can you help me to speak? And so when at the time I would work with this particular student one-on-one, I would give them a lot more information than they really needed. They would work through grammar drills and we would do reading and listening. Essentially, I would structure each one of my lessons the same way I used to structure my lesson when I would teach in a regular classroom. But with a program, you choose your focus first, and then you make it short, so that when a student signs up, they know that for the next 3 to 6 weeks, they're focusing on developing one specific skill. And then you're guiding them on that journey by giving them prompts. So if it's a speaking program, for instance, you create specific prompts on a subject. For example, a subject that has to do with family and feelings, and maybe they want to talk about their past. And so every week you send them a couple of prompts and then you engage with them, but not in the format of one-to-one classes. Rather, you engage with them on a voice chat platform. So something like Telegram or WhatsApp or Flipgrid. There are lots of places where you can run this program of yours that will not require for you to be in front of your computer at a certain time for 1 hour at a time. When I run my asynchronous programs, I usually schedule 1 hour in the morning, and I usually work with 5 to 7 clients at a time, and I respond to them pretty quickly, 2-3 minutes in my prompt. And then their goal is to listen to my response and then construct their own response or re-record themselves again. With the process of repetition, listening, recording themselves, repeating, listening to corrections, and re-recording themselves, they're building vital skills that will help them improve their speaking on a specific subject. Now, it does not mean they're going to be fluent in all subjects. It does not mean that they will suddenly speak accurately and use the right tense forms. But what it will mean is that it will solidify, increase their confidence so that they're able to troubleshoot, and listening to their own recording will allow them to self-correct, which is the whole point of the process of language teaching and language learning. Now, you might be wondering, what do you do with the students after they have gone through 3 to 6 weeks of a program like that? Well, this is when you meet with them, maybe one-on-one, but if you have several people that enroll at the same time, you can bring them all together in Q&A, and you talk to them and you encourage them to talk to you about their experiences. This is where you utilize an incredible tool that I believe is underutilized in our classrooms, even in online classes, is the tool of reflection and analysis. Now, when I taught one-on-one, I would do 2 classes a week with a student, and I felt like there was really this missing component in each of the packages that I offered, and that was the time to sit and reflect, to go back and look through their notes and maybe talk about things that they have learned. Now, I felt really bad about offering this to students because at the time I didn't see as much value, or I didn't think that they would find value in coming together and talking about what they have learned in the past month. But now I see that this is vital for growth and development, and also analysis helps them be more aware of why they're doing what they're doing, and it keeps their motivation up. Also, their reflection helps you become a better teacher and a better coach when you hear people give you feedback, because at the beginning it is most likely that your program is going to be very much overwhelmed with materials. And when you overwhelm your program with materials and you give too much homework and you prepare videos, and when you prepare all this material, what happens is your student spends a lot more time on consuming information rather than producing. So usually with the teachers in my community, Smart Teachers Library, they discover that sending short prompts and giving short assignments is a great way to get your students to engage. But if you overwhelm them with information, all they're going to do is spend all this time watching your videos, reading through your worksheets, and not doing the work that actually will benefit them. So to summarize, what I want to share with you today is that there are different ways of teaching languages online, and it's not just either one-to-one classes or courses for multitudes that you currently don't have as a one-to-one teacher. But what you can do is bring a program to the students who are already working with you one-on-one and show to them that they can take responsibility for their own learning and own their results. Through a program like that, whether a speaking program or a test preparation program, a writing program, a speaking program for a specific group of people, you are going to create more value for your students. You're going to encourage them to work on a specific skill, and you will become a person who supports them and guides them and coaches them rather than a person who babysits them in front of the screen from morning till night, making sure that the person just goes through their worksheets that they could do on their own. I hope this video was useful to you. If you want to learn more on how to teach languages online without one-to-one classes, you can sign up for my free Smart Teachers Kit using the link in the description. There's also a link to my courses and books that will help you get deeper into the subject, get templates on how to do a synchronous program and how to sell your synchronous program to your current and past clients and how to sell it to a larger audience. Please let me know if you have any questions about teaching without one-to-one classes, what your experience has been. I would love to hear that, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you more on this channel. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe, and if you would like to share this channel with your other online language teachers friends, I would be really grateful.